This video is not about the various popular Lego shorts you must have seen on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere that came out of Iran. Yes, they helped them lose the narrative battle to some extent, but not the war. It's also not about the claim that the war on Iran was a distraction from the Epstein files. Again, narrative battle. Yes, timing is something that would make someone suspicious. Yes. However, it's not about either of those two things. It's also not about what Trump said on social media and how various publications, media houses reacted to them, how people felt about them. That again is a battle, not a war. This video is about what made US lose the war. There is something core, there is something fundamental to storytelling that failed over the last roughly 45 days. And if you're a leader, if you're reading people somehow, you can learn these three exact lessons in how you use narratives in what you do. The very first aspect is who is a hero. You have to know the foundations of who a hero is. Now, traditionally, hero has been male. Hero has been a strong character. Hero is someone who takes risks. Hero is someone who wants to protect their family, their land, where they come from, their town, their city. They go on an adventure, they fight monsters, and they come back a winner. However, there is something different about how a hero is described in late 20s that was not evident up until a few years ago. And it's becoming more and more evident that the definition of a hero from a James Bond kind of character, a strong man leader kind of character, is constantly evolving into something extremely different. So we have to talk about what a hero is, who a hero is, what a hero does, and how that's changing now if you want to win the narrative war. Second thing I'm going to talk about in this video is what is the intention of the hero. The intention is extremely important because it defines the reason, the core of why the story is happening, why the story is being written, why it's being told. So, hero has to do something heroic, but before they do something heroic, they have to know why they are acting. Something that was fundamentally flawed and was pointed out by everyone was that the definition, the reason for going on this war was not described, was not explained, it was not defined clearly, it was not articulated. So when you articulate that reason, there are certain kind of intentions that tend to do better, that tend to resonate better with the audience, and they roughly fall into two categories. The first is that a hero is going and acting on something to protect the people at home. It makes their life better. It somehow saves them from harm, or it saves them from something that can do harm to them. So that's something that's crucial. So no matter what the intention is, if you cannot connect it to the people that you're telling it to, then the narrative war is lost. Secondly, you have to define what winning looks like and what losing looks like. If, and we come to the third reason now, if your audience feels like this hero is losing, that it's a losing battle, they don't have the chances to win, that they're not geared to win, that they're not prepared to win, that the possibility of them losing or the events are indicating that they're losing, when these stack up over and over again, what happens is your audience withdraws and they lose faith in the narrative that you're trying to tell them. Now, why is it that these three are the key learnings and how is it that you can apply them to what it is that you do. So for a long time, Hero was male. Hero was strong in mind and body. Hero was fearless. Hero took risks. Hero made difficult, tough calls. Hero defeated the enemy and Hero came home a winner. However, people are sick and tired of this hero. This hero has stopped working, and I'll give you some evidence, some statistics as to why that is happening, how strongly, how much that is happening. Trust barometer from 2025 said that 7 in 10 people globally believe business and government leaders deliberately mislead them. So 7 in 10 people, that's roughly two-thirds people who do not trust leaders in business and government. The trust default is now suspicion. So being suspicious is more normal for the young audience, the new audience, than trusting their leaders who they voted for. So earlier it was innocent until proven guilty. Now, if you're a leader, you're guilty until proven innocent. So you have to redefine what being a hero means. You stick to the core, but you redefine that journey. So I'll give you an example of how, for instance, BTS, this K-pop band from Korea, from South Korea, is selling out sold out stadium. They've become extremely popular. They're talking about a new kind of masculinity. They're talking about a new kind of heroism. It's about emotional literacy. It's about evolving on the inside. It's about loving yourself. It's about being more aware. And this is the kind of heroism that's becoming more and more popular. Even NPR research suggests that Hollywood movies that young men earlier found James Bond and movies with violence, movies with a lot of greed, money, these kind of themes attractive. Now they don't like such movies. They want more characters who have different kind of skills, that are more intimate, who are more honest. And this is also showing up in how online creators are creating content. So the new hero is more humane. The new hero is transparent. The new hero is truthful. The new hero is a good communicator. So these are the characteristics that are redefining heroism. So the battles are more internal rather than external. So the idea of a hero earlier was that this person was go out, find a war, and that would make people applause this person and say, oh, you did something brave and bold and audacious, and it was scary, and you went through this and you came home a winner. That kind of narrative has stopped working because the definition of who a hero is and what a hero does is changing. The way people see the world and the way people see threats and the way people see villains is also changing. The villain is now mostly understood to be something that's inside you, your emotional illiteracy, your inability to communicate, being intimate is a bigger problem than anything that exists outside. So the demons are now inside. The job of a hero is to be more internal and be more empathetic and vulnerable and authentic to their audience as compared to being bold and fearless and angry and scary. So this is the fundamental difference that US did not understand when they went for this war. Let me recap into very specific points. First of all, a classic hero is male and physically dominant. A new hero is emotionally intelligent and could be of any gender. The classical hero defeats the external enemy. The new hero overcomes internal struggle. The classical hero is fearless and has no vulnerability. A new hero is brave precisely because they understand and are aware of their vulnerability and they're able to express their vulnerability. A classical hero is defined by what he destroys, whereas a new hero is generally mostly being defined popularly as someone who builds. The classical hero comes home a winner or tries very hard to come home a winner. A new hero evolves and changes and becomes a more empathetic, kinder human being. They become more humane when they take the journey. The second aspect is defining the intention. Defining the intention has two specific aspects to it. The first is why the story is being written. In this case, the story of war has two people who get affected. First is the quote unquote villain, and the second are the people that you're trying to protect from the villain. Now, the thing is, first you have to convince the people that you're trying to protect in defining that intention that there is a reason that this particular villain is the real villain, can affect your life adversely in this much time, in this particular way, in this much intensity, for instance. So you have to first tell your audience why they should be invested in the story. What are the stakes for them? So, one of the greatest failures in this narrative was a lot of people did not understand why this war was necessary, what it was protecting them from, what kind of threat was it. It was vaguely mentioned nuclear threat, but people did not really buy the argument with that much conviction because the evidence was not clear. So, like we mentioned, there is already a lot of trust deficit for leaders. And if you're not able to give an evidence to spend the money of a certain people to do something that can adversely affect them with rising oil prices, has a couple of communication problems that make you lose the narrative war. The first is the expectations have not been set. Say if you tell your colleague that they have to work for next few weeks for 12 to 14 hours to achieve this, they'll be like, okay, I understand what I have to put in to achieve what. But if you're not able to explain and set expectation and tell someone what they have to endure for how long and for what reason and what will be lost in the process, then it's very easy to lose the audience. So, in this particular case, there was already doubt. After that resignation, and when people within the system started giving different kind of narratives of why the war was being fought, there was no one unified narrative. There was changing narratives constantly. The leaders could not come together and say that this is the reason, this is the timeline for it, and these are the stakes, and these are the ways in which the US population could be affected, and for this much time. So, that was one of the bigger problems with this narrative. Another thing, like I'll give you some stats, 59% Americans disapproved of the Iran strikes from the very beginning. Then at some point, like some surveys suggested that 66% said the US should exit quickly, even if the goals are not achieved. In some other surveys, like economists said 56% were opposed to the war. 59% again thought it was the wrong decision, according to Pew Research Center that came out with a report on March 25th. So essentially, when you're already starting with a trust deficit position, and the price of oil starts going high, and different kind of repercussions in terms of relationships with allies, the vagueness of the intention, no clarity about the timelines, if it's days, it's weeks, how much it's going to affect the people, then it becomes easier and easier to lose the narrative. The audience stops believing the storyteller. And if you want to do a check as to if your audience will get it, the first thing you have to define is the villain. You have to define why that villain needs to be fought, how that villain will be fought, what impact it would have on your audience, if it will be good impact, bad impact, what will be the timeline of that impact, and for what will be the intensity of that impact, and why are they enduring this impact. So, doing this checklist in your mind before you ask someone to rally behind you on a narrative or do something or commit to something or be involved in something, this can make your narrative stronger for any kind of audience. And these were some of the things that failed consistently in this particular narrative. Another thing to think about is a unified narrative. Like your story needs a spine. I've said this in other videos. Your story needs to have a very specific like core to it. So even if various versions of it come out from different people, no one really loses trust because the core is unclear. When the core is vague and unclear in terms of who, what, where, when, why, how much, then all the messages seem conflicting because the core is not clear. It does not put ahead a unified position. A unified, strong core for a narrative makes it a strong narrative that resonates with the audience. It's something they can rely on, it's something they can depend on, and it's something they can plan their life around. So, that clarity is a huge strength. The ability to give your audience very clearly articulated story that you're able to walk through, which you're able to embody, and which you're able to show that you've thought through. You've thought of the risks, you've thought of the benefits, you've thought of the costs, you've thought of the benefit that can come off of your story. That gives a lot of relief and faith to your audience, and it helps you build trust as a storyteller. Finally, it may seem obvious, but winning is extremely important for the hero. Now, a part of it is defining what a win feels, looks like, seems like, and then actually winning and showing that this is actually a win. Secondly, and more importantly, winning has to mean something to the audience, not to the storyteller. So if you're telling your story and you're saying this is what a win looks like, it has to be about the audience. It does not have to be about you. So something could mean a win for you, but your audience might feel like they lost out. So a win in a narrative, when a hero goes for a win, as a storyteller, you're saying that what you achieve will help your audience. So you're able to get the audience to be a part of the story if you're able to show them that they won. In this particular context, the audience, which is the US population, felt like they were losing. They were losing because the oil price was going up and they could not see an end in sight. Their money, the taxpayers' money, was being spent on a war. They did not understand the intention. Secondly, they did not feel a win. So even if you have a weak intention, but you have a clear win for the audience, that the audience feels is a win for them, that their life was transformed for the better somehow, then a hero can declare victory. Hero can say, I achieved something great. If you define it already and you achieve it, and the audience trusts you and they believe in you and they see the reason for whatever the narrative is, they understand the intention and they feel the win. The win has to be clear, the win has to be for the audience, and the win has to mean something to them. It has to be some kind of a transformation. It has to bring some kind of meaning to them. It cannot be abstract, it cannot be vague. It certainly should not be a loss. A story loses when the audience is losing because of that story. So if you're a leader, it's important to make your audience feel like they are winning and you are the reason that they're winning. In the case of Iran war, Trump failed miserably in convincing people that they are winning. They could not see the win at all. There was some threat, they were apparently saved from some threat, or maybe they've not been saved from it. So it's all too abstract, it's all too far away, it's very hard to relate. The trust has already been lost, it has not been defined, and the losses are becoming more and more and more clear. They're becoming something that's actually hurting. The prices are increasing, the allies are being lost, the narrative war is being lost, and the life just got worse because of it. So fundamentally, narratives are about once upon a time and they lived happily ever after. If you don't have a happily ever after, the narrative is going to lose. It needs something, it needs a closure, it needs evolution, it needs change, it needs the audience to believe in a story that has some kind of good, like mythology. It can be abstract, but it needs to feel real to the audience. So it could be about compassion or empathy or community or something that's not really tangible, like it has intangible quality, it's emotional. But if it feels like it's true, like we came together, there was more teamwork, that we actually fought against the evil. So, this is one of the traits that can really make or mar a story, the feeling of winning. Some of the things that to think about in a narrative is to give the audience clear wins throughout the story. So if you say this is my intention and within a few weeks after these stakes, these trade-offs, you will win this, and that win is really immediately clear and it's tangible and someone gets it and they're like, oh, I'm actually invested in the story now. Few weeks later, there is another win. It's like a video game, like you're collecting coins and you're feeling like, oh, I'm going ahead, I'm getting ahead. So it's that feeling of a constant celebration, like feeling, oh, wins. In this particular case, there were a lot of losses. There was a lot of unpredictability. So unpredictability is okay if it's leading to a sense of well-being, it's helping the audience achieve something. But if it's unpredictable and there are losses, that immediately makes the audience lose faith in the person telling the story. So there's a trust deficit that kind of deepens and deepens. Thank you. I'm linking another video for you right here. It goes into great details on things that you could do as a storyteller, as a leader. And as a leader, it's extremely important to be a storyteller in today's times. Because if you're not telling a clear story, you're losing your audience because the trust deficit is constantly growing.